Welcome back to the homestead, guys. So we like to live off the land as much as we can, and a lot of that is what is available to us, which is fish. We are in a place with a lot of wonderful fishing, and hooligan, these little teeny fish, are one of the first things you can dip net for the season. So we like to go and stock up a little bit on these fish. They are delicious, and we are going to be smoking and canning them today. Okay, so for smoking these hooligan, I like to make a salt brine before they go in the smoker. So I will sit them in this brine for about 15 to 30 minutes and then pop them in the smoker. It's 7 cups of water and a cup of salt. All right.
Use all the guts for the garden.
Yeah. We like hooligan. They're also called candlefish because of that super high oil content. I believe they're about 70% oil. And a lot of folks will use them for bait, and they're not super popular eating, but we do like to eat them. We find they're delicious and extremely available. So these guys, they're pretty easy to clean up. We just like to clip the tails and the head off and the fins, and then we'll just run some scissors down the belly and gut them.
Okay, we're going to go ahead and pop this in the smoker for about 2 hours. They look good.
Okay, we are going to make some sourdough, dill, and sea salt crackers to go with our smoked hooligan. We're going to make a dip with them. So this is a great discard recipe if you have a bunch of sourdough starter and you want to make some room in the jar, but you don't want to necessarily throw it out. Discard recipes are great for that. We have a ton on the channel, from crackers to pancakes to flatbread, which is one of our favorites on the homestead. But it all starts with just a little bit of unactive sourdough starter. So that's all discard is. It's just starter that is not active or peaked. And I'll take about a cup of that to start. And then to that discard, maybe a cup of discard, like a half a cup to a cup of discard, I'm going to add about a cup and a half to 2 cups of water. And then just mix it up. Then to this whole thing, I'm going to add about 3 cups of flour and then a good handful of dill and sea salt. I'm just going to flour my work surface here and then knead this just till it comes together and I can roll it out. And then I'm just going to roll it out to about a 1/4 inch thickness. Doesn't have to be perfect. Whatever you want to do, the thicker the cracker, the more chewy it's going to be. If you do it really, really thin, it's going to be really crunchy. You can do a lot of really cool variations with this. Like we like to do a cinnamon honey cracker for like a sweet one. Do like a Cheez-It, like we'll make like a cheese cracker. You just shave up some cheddar and put it in here. Really good. This is one of our favorite recipes, the dill sea salt, when we have salmon and we make pickled salmon with, we like to do it with like fresh goat cheese. and some crackers is so good. Or a little salmon roe dip, which is really good too. I'm actually going to cut this in half just to make it a little easier to roll out. Okay. Good job, Lena. These are gonna go in the oven. Okay, I will check on those in about 10 minutes.
Okay, these look done. I'm gonna go ahead and pull them out.
Alright, these are ready to get going in the canner. While I pack my mason jars, I'm going to start by heating my water in my pressure canner. Depending on what kind of pressure canner you have, for mine, I just fill the bottom with about 2 to 3 inches of water, and then I get that heated up while I'm canning whatever it is that I am preserving. So I'm going to start by filling this up and turning the heat on. And you always want to have a rack in the bottom of your canner. You never want to put the jars right on the bottom because they will shatter. So while that is heating, I'm going to pack my jars. This recipe has me filling these jars to 1-inch headspace. So headspace is how high you fill this up with your product. For this recipe, it's 1 inch, but that might change depending on what you are preserving. Funnels are really handy because it helps keep everything very clean, because after I fill these jars up, I'm going to want to wipe the rim and make sure nothing is on the rim when I put my lids on. But I'm going to start by just packing my fish vertically in here. I might have to cut them because you don't want, again, to go above 1 inch. So when you do can, as far as getting your equipment ready, your jars, if you are going to process for over 10 minutes, they need not be sterilized. So like with this recipe, I'm going to be processing these for 1 hour and 50 minutes. So that is well over the 10-minute line for sterilization. What you want to do though is to make sure they're very clean. So I went ahead and washed these with very, very hot soapy water, got it really clean. And so when you are canning fish or meat or bone broth or anything like that, any low acid food, you're going to want to use a pressure canner, not a water bath canner like you would for a jam or a jelly. We are going to save some of these for our dip. And the rest of these are ready to go in the canner. Okay, so when I put the tops on my mason jars, I'm going to wipe the rim clean, make sure there's no oil or any residue left that's going to interfere with the seal. And then I'm going to take my lid. I like to just look at it all and make sure there's no imperfections or anything wrong with either of them. I like to center the lid on here and then just finger tight the lid on. So you don't want to over tighten it because then you won't know if it's processed correctly and sealed because it's super tight, or if it is processed correctly. So there's this one. All right, I'm gonna put these in my canner on my rack, and I'm just gonna kind of evenly space them. I'm gonna do a second layer, and I'm gonna put a rack in between the two. Okay, so I got my lid on here. When you put on these canner lids, you want to do it in a star pattern. So one side and then the direct opposite side, because you want it on there evenly, or as even as you can get it. So now that that is on, I'm gonna vent steam out of my little vent pipe here for 10 minutes, and then I'm gonna put my weight on here at 15 pounds pressure. So I am using a weighted gauge pressure canner. That means for my elevation, I had to change this from 10 to 15 because I am at about 200 feet in elevation here. If you're lower in elevation than I am, you are gonna probably be canning this at 10 pounds. But after that steams for 10 minutes, I'm gonna throw the weight on there and then get that jiggling. But we are gonna take these hooligan, these leftover smoked fish, and we are gonna go inside and start making our dip with them. Okay, this has been venting steam for 10 minutes. I'm gonna throw the weight on here at 15 pounds pressure. You know which way to put this weight because it has little holes and number marks, 5, 10, or 15. And then I'm just gonna kind of watch this canner. Once you do a couple rounds on your oven or whatever you're canning on, you'll know more like what you should set it to for heat to get it where you want it to. You're gonna want this to jiggle anywhere from 1 to 4 times a minute. So you don't want it constantly jiggling. You want it jiggling 1 to 4 times a minute, and then you know you're at the correct pressure. So if it goes under or over that, you do need to reprocess the jars. You want to keep it at the correct pressure for the correct processing time to ensure a successful seal and correct food preservation. So now that that is at the correct pressure, I'm going to start my processing time of 1 hour and 50 minutes, and then I will shut this off, let this depressurize completely before I take the lid off. We're going to keep an eye on this, and then in the meantime, we are going to start on our dip. All right, so we're gonna get started on our dip. I am just gonna toast some sourdough bread I made in butter and then whip it up with my immersion blender to make some breadcrumbs. Debone this smoked hooligan, put a little lemon, chive, and egg, and some homemade tartar sauce in there, and then bake it in the oven on 350. And then we're gonna dip our crackers in it, and I think it's going to be delicious. We've never actually made it like this before, so this is a new recipe. Gonna grate a little bit of Parmesan in here too. Now my hooligan. All right, oven is set to 350. I'm gonna pop this in here until it is nice and cooked through. Now I'm gonna go check on my canner. Okay, this has been going for 1 hour and 50 minutes. I'm ready to turn this heat off. Now, with your pressure canner, do not move it off the heat source until it is completely depressurized. You don't want to move that around when it's still really high in pressure. So I'm going to wait to take the weight off and take the lid off until that pressure reads 0. And once that reads 0, I'm going to take the weight off, and then I'm going to wait about 5 minutes, I like to, and then I will take the lid off and I will just carefully remove them. But for right now, I'm going to turn this off here and then give this a few minutes to just chill out and get back down to 0. Okay, I think this dip is done. Yeah, that is a great way to eat hooligan. That is better than just frying them smoked and in a dip. They are delicious. That is great. That is definitely a keeper recipe.
It smells really good. They're good. It's definitely better than fried.
Good? Okay, this is depressurized 100%. I'm gonna take that off and then take my lid off here. These are great, just quick dinners when they're smoked and canned. They're great snacks. And then when you take this top off, when you are canning, just kind of lean it away from you because that steam can be really hot. Ooh. And then we're gonna listen for those pops and check the seals for these. So if they don't seal or pop like that, we're gonna reprocess. All right, that's it. Okay, those are all set. They look beautiful. We really focus the majority of our energy and efforts into salmon. So catching salmon, preserving our salmon for the year. That is a big one for us. And this year we are going to be applicable for subsistence permits. So that is big. That's a big game changer. You could harvest a lot more. We're really excited. We have some big goals for us and our family this year with those permits. This hooligan is yummy. We really like it and we're happy to have it. It was a wonderful little icebreaker into the fishing season. And that is how we clean, brine, and smoke and can our hooligan. So we hope you guys enjoyed that, maybe learned something, and we'll see you next week.